So where are we at in the build? What are we digging into?
We're really close, man. We are looking at just doing a little more power.
More power.
And more power! We've got a Clarkson this drone. We checked out one of our earlier streams. I'm just going to call it, I had the better video camera positioning that I've had from other episodes, so I'm just going to reposition that real quick. That might be a bit steep, but I think that one's probably about where I want to keep this. Excuse me, sir. Alright, and yeah, we're looking at the wrong one. Too many building multiples. So, yeah, this is where we left it off. We've got all of the main power done on the main drone. And let's get this bit kind of clued back in a little better. Alright. Watch me totally get this set and then have to do something else. Alright, back to the kit bag. That's what everybody gets from us when they order. Turn on the old soldering iron. Could you hit the light on that one, please?
Indeed.
Thank you, thank you.
Sponge.
No, it's actually still moist from yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, fine then.
Fine. Good. Let's have a quick review. We did the nays yesterday. It wasn't really yesterday though, was it? We did the nays the last time we were all hanging out, so we're going to continue from there. We got the pins done, we got the powering the nays done. Ooh, that is not in the camera shot. So we've got the pins done, and then we've got the nays power, and we've got the telemetry wire. We've got the buzzer coming off of the buzzer on the bottom. We've got the signal wires, ground, positive, and PPM, so channel 1. And then we did the VBAT to be able to take this up and off of the bottom raw power coming right in. So that's going to help us monitor the battery. Okay. And I didn't I? Put that in backwards to where I really wanted to kind of be. Let's see. Anyway, I'll scoot that out of the way for a second. I think. Yep, we'll scoot that out of the way. Alright. Goodbye, pan of ice. Woo! That got stuck. Let's see what else we're going to need. Probably not much at the moment. Alright, we'll keep it simple. We're going to work on our voltage regulators. We've got a pretty neat method of stacking these guys. Everybody gets one of these, a little dual pin. You can always get yourself one, make yourself one, whatever it is that you need from any of the equipment that you currently have. But a decent pair of pretty sharp snips at this point. There's a groove in there. You're going to just line it up with the center groove. And so that I don't lose one of these, I'm just going to cover my hand with it. We're just going to snip that, and now we get 2. Okay. So, right, we're going to use the old helping hands. And our objective here is going to be, let's just review what this takes, right? So you've got 2 different voltage regulators, one's 5, one's 12, and that's the output side, right? They're giving out 12, giving out 5. Everything on the raw power side really is that, it's just raw. So you can use it for different things. For us, we're going to come straight in on the raw power here, and then we're going to put these 2 pins vertically in there to share the power from one board to the next. We're going to stack them on top of each other. We're going to come up with a little bit of creative foam to protect the electronics together. And for that I need to do a little bit of digging, so bear with me.
Brendan says we're getting a little bit of buzzing.
Buzzing. Okay. Usually that's like cell phones, or it could be my speakers. I've just killed my speakers. Let me know if that fixed it.
Okay. I'm gonna kill my.
One thing at a time. Sometimes that's just cell phones too close to the speakers. I've done that quite a bit.
All gone.
Right on. So it's probably my speakers. Sorry about that, peeps. Like I said, guys, keep everything that's random and spare that you think is going to work for you in a drone situation. I don't need as much as the shape of this, so I'm just going to cut a little bit less. I just want something that's going to protect the electronics and stop any shorts. Give me a little bit of cushioning. So that's all I'm after. And if you're like me, I mean, realistically, this drawer is just packed full of all sorts of squidgy stuff. I've got a drawer of squidgy. You should all have one of those. A squidgy drawer. Okay. So power comes out the bottom of the drone, up into here, and then we share the power between these boards. Now we've got the option. We're going to have to do this in a staged approach. We want 5 volts powering the naze board, so we're going to come off of here with 5, and then coming off of the 12 we are going to power the video the FPV camera and the video transmitter. So that's how we're going to end up theoretically wiring it, and now I guess let's just kind of go for it. For stability reasons, I like to put these pins on the outside, not the inside, which is delightful because I've already got the solder on the outside, so kind of just makes it interesting for myself. No worries. Nothing like a bit of a technical challenge halfway through. Alright, we don't want to crush any components again, so we're going to get a bit of a pinch on this through the rubber. Again, that's just a random piece of rubber that I've kept around. You should all have one of those. I do the 5 volts on the bottom because of the way that I'm going to wire it. I've got a little more play in the bottom, and I'm going to be taking 2 wires off the top 12 volts, so I'm going to do the 12 volts second. I have to kind of trust myself that I've labelled these correctly, because I'm not going to recheck that at this point. This guy here should be fine at the end of the day. Protecting those 2 components, making sure nothing shorts. Let's see if the soldering iron's ready yet. Okay, back to the pliers. I'm gonna just change the camera angle again on you guys. Sorry about this. I'm trying to just get the best we can offer here. Everybody feels sick enough? Alright, good. The side ball action. It's just what you need, Dave. Don't itch, you're on camera. No more free itching for you. Alright, we're good there. So I'm going to heat that up, hopefully drop that pin through, heat it from the bottom, make sure that I actually do get the pin through.
Buzzing is back.
No.
It's loud. It's nasty.
Alright, let me see what else I've got going on. I wonder if that's got anything to do with the camera. I did just move it. Those are still set. Okay, let's do cell phones way over there. Let's just try that. Stick them on the stairs for now. Sometimes the cell phones, man, I re-watched one of the broadcasts when I was editing it to do some highlights, and I'm like, oh my god, the buzzing. I'm like, oh, that's terrible, but whatever. It's going to happen. Thanks for the heads up. We'll keep trying to work on it when we hear it come along. So as far as these pins go, there's a little more length on the top than there is the bottom. We really only want that to sit through so that we get that distance that we're looking for. That guy's well stuck. Let's see if I can't get the next one just as easy. Ooh, Dave, it's twisting. Would you just stop this from rotating? Just pin that right there. There you go. Magic third hand. Oh right, there we go, sweet. That one went in beautifully. That's all we're looking for. This is a super cool way, I think, of doing this component, and I'm going to give mad props out to Low and Fast. You're the wizard that decided this was a good idea, and I completely agree. So we've got pins poking out the bottom just a little bit. Personally don't like that, and I don't want it touching my carbon. I don't need them poking out the bottom, so I'm going to snip them off. Kind of wrecks your snips when you do that, so hopefully you've got a pair that you don't care too much about. I don't. Or do now. That's what it is. Alright, so that's a little more flush. I'm still going to put these on a pad when I mount it to the board, so I don't have too much concern. Still, don't like taking chances. I like to make a clean build. I'm kind of picky with stuff like that. So, my next step is bring this guy back into the shop. Here we go. Alright. We're working on this side, so I'll kind of centralise that into the view. If you guys don't have a pan of ice yet, oh my god, get one. Oh my god, did you order one today?
No, but it's on my wish list.
Nice,
And I'll
buddy.
link it in the chat.
Nice, do that. Okay, so, oh yeah, there is more. I'm just being forgetful at this point, guys. So we need 12 volts coming back out to the LEDs. We've got LEDs on the bottom that are a 12 volt circuit. So coming out of the 12 volt, we're going to have LEDs and FPV camera and video transmitter. So there's quite a bit that comes out of that versus what's going to be coming from the 5 volt. It's a lot less to deal with, a lot less to worry about. So these are my next two. It's the raw power coming out of here. We want to power these voltage regulators. Just to double check, we are going on the inside. So it's always a good double check at that moment. You don't want to kind of screw yourself up. I put these pins in on a little bit of an angle, so I'm just going to bend them back. At this moment, it's a good time to just double check and make sure that your bottom pins go through the top pin board. I have done it where I've put them in at such a weird angle they won't go. So do yourself a favour, just check that. That's kind of how that's going to end up. Slides on nice. In our kit bag, we have got what we call the top plate to the naze stack. It's just a small 1mm carbon, pretty lightweight, but we've also provided these double-sided sticky back pieces of foam for instances like this when we know that obviously you're going to need them for something or another. And we're going to use this. Bloody thing's not peeling too pretty right now, but I'll blame the preparers. We're going to use one of these to stick on this board to give us the pad off the bottom that we need. But we're not going to do that just yet, so I just want to kind of mention those. What we are going to do is get this figured out into its permanent position, and that is just in front of the hole with a bit of space. But you got to keep it well behind this mounting point for the FPV cam should you choose to use one of those, or you've got these slots right there that we're going to use. So it looks like I've got the right amount of distance. Let me make sure that my positive and negative is going to be the correct way. Negative down there, positive up here, so that's looking really good. Assuming I can trust my wiring job, which I can. I've just double checked that, so I'm pretty happy about that one. I'm going to just go for it. And we're going to solder that guy there, and we're going to solder that guy there. So we're going to go onto the raw pads. On these voltage regulators, you've got 2 pads per in, 2 pads per out. They're the same, so don't worry about it. Just kind of go for it. I think I pre-tinned my wires. I better have pre-tinned my wires. It looks like I didn't pre-tin my wires. I'll pre-tin my wires.
That's a good call.
Yeah. Alright, so I guess I'm going to do something else to make my life kind of easy here. I like things to stay still when I'm soldering, and I want it to be in the right position. So I'm going to get a little bit of electric tape. I mean, I really don't need much for this. That was a bit warm. And I'm going to do the classic roll it back on itself. A bit like that. Stick it on the bottom of this guy. It's very, very temporary. I'm going to keep it away from the parts that I'm about to solder, which is the inside. There we go. Now I'm going to push this down onto the carbon. Gives me a little bit of buffer between the carbon and the plates, and enables me to just kind of make sure that it's not going anywhere when I'm about to mess around. So use that trick, steal that, go for it, whatever you need. Is that on stream too?
Yes.
Damn you, sensitive microphone. Brilliant. It's one of those days.
It's the resident bullfrog.
Alright, here we go. Negative. You know what? I didn't pre-tin my contact pad. So pull those wires back out the way real quick. And we're going to just pre-tin this little bugger. Got one. Ooh, watch those uprights, watch those uprights. Get that pushed out of the way real quick. Touch it, hold it, stick it, boom. Okay, now back to the part where I said I was actually going to do the work. Here we go, we're going to do it. Negative on the negative side. Again, careful not to touch the components. Get it nice and hot. Solid. That one went in well. A bit more tin on the end of that. There we go. Alright. So now raw power coming from the battery through the distribution board straight into the voltage regulator. Now that we've kind of mounted that guy where it needs to be, I'm going to leave it alone for a second. We now need to come back to this because we're at the point where we need to worry about connecting these wires all the way down to the front pins of this. And oh, look at that joy. They're not long enough. Redo.
Which ones are you?
These. I managed to shorten those too much on myself, so I'm going to have a quick redo.
You get a couple of free redos every build.
Alright, dig through your stock and everybody's got some. Get your wire out. I might have to dig a little deeper and harder for mine. Right now I think I've used most of what I'm looking for. Here we go. So I just so happen to have a spare JST connector laying around, and that is definitely going to have enough wire for me to go from there to where I'm looking to go. So I'm going to have a quick do-over, and I really don't need this JST connector, so I'm going to be cheeky and I'm going to cut it right off at the base. Trash. Let's get a little strip done. I was kind of anticipating that to happen on the last time when I did this build, but hey, we're going to have enough wire in the kits. There's plenty to go around. This guy's coming out while I redo this. Put this back in. Again, I'm going to be really careful about that USB connector. Don't bust it off. Pinch it on an area where it doesn't matter. One's gone, two's gone. Now of course people are going to be like, man, that seems weird that you did that up there. You could definitely take it onto the bottom pads. There's nothing wrong with that. It's really viable. It's whatever your preference is. Do it up there, do it on the bottom, whatever you want. I haven't had any solder joints really pop off on me on this, but because I like to be able to see it and confirm and know, it's just an easier visual check for me, so that's where I've decided to do it moving forwards. But I know loads of really good dudes build them and they just whack them on the bottom. Right, I just want to pre-tin my wires now. Whip back through that. a gaff. Complete gaff.
I've heard that before, but I actually don't know. Is that's a mistake?
It might be a disc golfer's term, actually. Anybody play disc golf out there? I believe One Nut does. Is that cat back on?
I don't know if he's with us this evening.
Do we have a One Nut? Come on, own up to it. Sound a little sick in there. Getting worse? Ah, man. Time for the doctor or the slaughterhouse. I don't know which one for that one. Oh, no, wait. When you birth them, you can't eat them, right?
I think that's roughly how it works.
Alright, here we go. We're going to get these wires back on. Positive. I just so happen to be able to see it. It's the middle one. God damn it. Here we go. Let's get that pinched in there the best that I possibly can. Alright, wait, I gotta cut the tip of that off. Just the tip. What I'm actually going to do, because when the solder goes down the wire, it forms a really solid piece of wire. I'm gonna use that to my benefit, I guess, and I'm gonna strip a bit more of this off, so I can get the turn that I'm after, but I'm gonna lose a little bit of the stiff wire at the top. So, really kind of just playing this material to my advantage here. I don't have a lot to play with when I'm trying to get it on this upright, because it's one of the shorter of the two pins. So I've shortened it up like that, and now I'm going to be able to get it on with more ease. Okay, now if I could cross my eyes as I was going for that one. That was a bit dirty, but it's on. Not exactly happy about that, but I'm going to have another go. I'm just going to try and add a bit more solder to it. If I do that, it's probably going to fall off, so watch this mess. Yep, just like that. So, a bit more solder on the tip and we'll go for it again. Never did claim to be a pro solderer. Solderer. Funny angles, peeps. That's what we'll blame it on. Alright, that's good enough. Pretty stoked about that one. That one went well. No crossing of the streams, nothing weird. So positive's done. Let's have a go and see what we can do with this ground lead. Negative ground. The minus wire, whatever. Bend, you vile beast. Okay, there we go. Once more. Got the wire. That's looking pretty good. Right angle there. I've got enough solder on the tip, and there's enough on the pin anyway. So we'll just bang this one back on. Okay, good. Give them a bit of a pull just to make sure they're good. You don't want them falling off, so a decent solder job should be able to have a pull. And I'm just going to twist them just to kind of, I don't know, make my OCD feel good or something. It's one of the two. No, I think there's electronic magnetic waves that are produced by electro currents going through wires, blah blah blah. Technical stuff, kind of get the gist of it. I know enough to know you should twist your wires. That's pretty much what you need to take from all of that. It messes with your signals, right? You got a lot of signal equipment on here. Don't let it mess with your signals. Twist your wires, keep your electromagnetic currents in the wires that you want them to be. Better for your drone.
And it's more concise, more compact, looks better.
All of the above. Okay, so I'm going to turn the drone around. I really do want it to be in this way for the video's sake at this point. Whatever, I'm going to make an excuse for that. No, I really do. I just want to really be able to kind of show the work that I'm about to do, soldering the wires on the bottom. What about the bottom? So pre-tin those guys, these two right here. And obviously I need my power wires that are going to power the nails to come out the front, because they're going to get voltage from the 5 volt. Everything else is going to stick out the back. 2 wires down the bottom. Hopefully get this right. I really want my wires to lay underneath the board. I don't want them poking out when I'm done. So I'm going to keep that pushed out that way. Really trying to think about the layout when it gets squashed at this point. So what I want to do is I want to have this wire going here, and I want to have this wire going over there. So again, process of order is important. We don't want to do one that blocks us from doing the other, so it's decent. It's a decent moment to kind of help the video out here. If you guys don't have one of these, I highly recommend one. Headlamps are brilliant. When you're struggling to see things, just whack one of these on for a minute or two, whatever you need, and there we go. It's going to help see what I'm talking about too. So we're going to go positive there, we're going to go ground wire here. That's kind of a pain. I might not have thought that through as best as I thought I did, but whatever, we'll figure it out. Wing it. I'm going to do that one first, and then I'm going to do the ground, because I think I can bend the ground in that way without too much hassle. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, but we'll go for it. Because they're all going to compress like that when the board gets shoved down. Alright, so I'm just going to let the board kind of chill right there as I go for these. Try and keep a bit of light in the way for everyone. And I think we're done with that. This wire doesn't look pre-tinned, so I'm just going to pre-tin it real quick. Ew, definitely not pre-tinned. Cool, right, so that's the two of them. These wires should go together pretty easy now. Don't forget to be ambidextrous before you want to try and build a drone.
It does help.
Okay, positive lead on, ground lead next. Oh, started touching things, careful. Ooh, that was my thumb. Just going to move that wire, just kind of bend things into place first before I try to push them down. That can be a big deal. And now that we've done most of the soldering, it's time to be safe about it. Make sure that we pay attention to safety. I'm sure there's more to do. I'm sure you guys have seen it too, man. When you're doing the soldering, sometimes the little rosin core can spit, and I've had one hit my leg before, and I've never had one come up at my face, but I have had them go in really random directions, which, to be perfectly honest, freaks me out and makes my mate remind me that I need to wear these constantly. I should just start the episode with these on, so don't forget. Brilliant. Okay, wires are in. Now it's a matter of kind of mash them and pull them to get them into the position that we need them to be when the board goes down, so nothing gets really weird and compressed. I'm liking the way these are about to lay down. I don't think I've got any problem. It's a bit difficult to see, but you guys are just going to have to trust me. Just play with it. Make sure your wires are all good. Nobody's laying on top of each other and going to cause a problem and going to pinch each other and any of that bollocks. Still a bit of play in there. That's really good. I've got that wire there. These are still okay. Everything's looking pretty good. That naze board is down, secure, and all the wires are in place. Yay! And you can see it kind of pushes back up a little bit, but that's just natural. Nothing's bad, and nothing's sticking out any of the sides. So, kind of stoked. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to get some of our standoffs. I'm going to go back in this bag. Like I said, we've got this different build, right? We've got the clean or the dirty design. So you're going to have extras in your bag. We just don't need the short ones. We're going to use the 10mm. Are going to go right on the top. Obviously you need the 10mm for the distance that your 3x6 pins are standing on there. On goes 1, 2. Let's get this corner in. So as far as the naze is concerned, the rotation that we have decided to install the naze onto the drone, because the drone's forwards direction is this, we have decided to install the drone at a 270 degree off-centered axis. So it would be 0, 90, 180, 270. There's the little arrow. The arrow points this way. That's the way the naze thinks it wants to go forwards. So when we get into the software, we've got to remember, tell the drone that you've been turned 270 degrees. Otherwise, forwards goes this way and then you'll get your face off. Cool. Alright. So we'll come back and we'll do a bit of the receiver in a little bit. We've got these pins that we can start messing around with. We've got to find a way to twist these up, zip tie them, get those plugged in, but we're just not there yet. We're still worrying about power. Let's mess around with power just a little bit longer before we go any further. This is still our LED power lines. You can see them kind of moving down here. That's very helpful to have that. If you guys worry about which ones are going to be which and you've got multiple days, throw some blue tape around these, mark off what they are so you don't forget. I've just done enough of these that I'm good now. I don't worry about that kind of bollocks. And I'm going to turn that just a little more so I can get to it. So on the outside of the 5 volts, again, we've got the negative ground, positive on this side. We can use any of the 2 on either side, doesn't really matter. We just need to use 2. So I'm going to start out by tinning a couple of the pads. My wires are obviously long enough, you can see they're going to make it this time, thankfully. I'm going to go for the outside guy. Alright, there's one. There's 2. Wires are already done this time, thankfully. Oh, no bollocks. Dropping things. Okay, I'm going to untwist these just one. Get those wires laid out just that little bit better. And I do want my wires to go down between the center of these 2 pins. Now that's going to become relevant in a little while when we review kind of why we're doing some of this stuff and how we want it to look at the very end. I'm going to actually untwist it again just to give me the extra little bit of play. Yeah. I'm going to straighten those wires out just a tad. Bollocks, I just pushed that. Are you kidding me? I stretched the bloody rubber right over the tip. Right over the tip, Dave.
Just stretch the rubber.
I did. I just stretched it right over the top. And we're back. I've exposed the raw wire. Never going to get prime time with these double entendre comments.
I don't think I want prime time then.
Keep me on the Z-roll, baby. Alright, so wire goes in between the centre. This is kind of fiddly because I'm trying to stay out of the way. It's a lot easier when you're not worrying about a bloody camera. Balls. I really can't get this. Here we go. Give it a bit of a twist. Like I said, shape the wire before you go for it. That will help, even in situations like this where it's fiddly. Get my ground on. Sweet. Done. Now the wire's going to lay down the side of this grey chip. That's definitely a purposeful positioning there for me. And then this guy, I'm going to run it down the centre here, around the top, and then I'm going to turn that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to resolder the one that's dead straight ahead, because like I said, it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to go for it. Okay, just like that. Alright, here we go. Just didn't grab it right that time with the pincers, so I'll kind of redo that. I feel like a bloody contortionist. Cool, got it. Okay, 5 volts coming back out the 5 volt regulator back into the naze board, giving me juice up here, sorted. These guys can just kind of get routed through there, routed or routed, whatever she likes. Now at this point I'm going to pick this up because I've got some more soldering to do. I don't need that sticking down where it used to be. I've kind of got those wires pushed down into place where I want them. I'm going to get rid of my orange sticky. I'm going to stick that aside because I might reuse that in a second. Can't remember. I mean, I might. So that's all we need for 5 volts. 5 volts power comes off the board and goes back down to power the receiver. That's already sorted. You know, buzzer, that's sorted by the wiring that we've already done. So now I'm worrying about putting the 12 volt on the top of this. So to get that job done on camera, so you can see, we're going to try something else. We're going to go for this. Now I can come back and put this pad in, but it might be a bit of a pain, so I'm going to kind of try to mess with that now. And coming to think about it, I really don't want this pad coming anywhere near these contacts, so I think I've cut it a little bit long. I'm going to take a fraction off of it because I'm really just interested in giving some separation between the board. So that's better, that's more like what I'm really after. I want that chilling right there, and I want this guy sitting on the top. So again, in, out, make sure you're the correct way around. Get that bit done. Push this on the top. We've all got tweezers laying around, so we can always readjust that rubber if it does fall out or it doesn't sit properly, but that's kind of what I'm really looking at. It's the sandwiched effect. That's what I'm going for. I guess you can cheat at this point if you like You can always put a zip tie right around the top of this to kind of hold them together and to hold it in place, get that sandwiched effect. I would do that if I didn't have, that's right, magic third hand. Can I borrow you, magic third hand? I just need this pinched, just top and bottom. Watch out for the, obviously you don't want to touch the voltage regulator adjusting knob, so I'm going to just put a bit of a pinch on that. Now he's holding it together. It doesn't have to be terribly hard, but he's holding it in place for me. Anything a zip tie would currently do. And I just need to solder these pins through the board. Is it square? Do you feel square on that one? How do you feel? You can mess with it. Get it square for me. Alright, are you even looking at the same thing I'm looking at?
How dare you?
It's just the angle is like wicked like that.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to get close to your...
Oh, I'll burn you. Don't you worry about being burned. Once we do one, the second one will hurt less.
That's encouraging.
Okay, wait. Alright, there goes one. That pretty much got it for the second one already, does it? Okay. Sweet. So we've got the board really where we wanted it. The pins are on the top, and we've got that kind of compressed design to this. The power is running from the bottom board, raw power straight up into the top through those pins, and now the top one's having the distribution done. If you need, for any other reason, if you're using any FrSky telemetry modules, you can now take raw power from these two connection points, run it all the way back. However you want to do that, we're not delving into it, but there's your option. You can always go for that. We are going to use voltage monitoring and naze telemetry right off of there. Okay. Next I'm going to bring these two wires back into play. Again, I'm going to keep everything very centric, very much so running the wires from these pads back out this direction. That's a little bit for keeping it neat, it's a little bit for ease of changing if you have to change anything. I really like to be able to come on the end this way with a bit of heat shrink it all together at the very end, keep some moisture off of it. So, yep, that's what I'm thinking there. I'm going to roll these guys together just a little before we enter this plate section. And if they're too long, I've just got to trim them. No big deal. Save on those grams of weight. We'll go for it. One more twist. You know what, this guy? That's fine. I'm just going to leave these as they are. No problem. I'm going to see if I can't get the helpful hands at play whilst I'm doing this. I might need to adjust something here, so bear with me. Alright, spin that around. Still not sure this is going to work because it's kind of a weird angle for you guys to see.
Yeah, it's definitely still just got that high pitch kind of buzzing.
Damn. Face this build, this right side monitor, let me turn that one off. If I can maybe turn my audio down just a little bit, maybe that will help.
Yeah, that might help.
This audio, push to talk, no. Noise gate. Yeah, I'm honestly thinking that the amount of gear that I've got running, it's just picking up on the fact that all these bloody fans really close to it are running. I can't explain it any other way. I mean, we've turned everything else off. It might just be that the microphone is, I mean, bloody hell, you can hear that from halfway down the room, and the microphone's sensitive enough that it's just going to pick it up.
I feel like it could just be your computer fan.
Mm-hmm. Can you reach that big foam pad down there? Can you climb in? This way, mate. Can you climb in and get that foam pad right there? And I'll try and put like a foam pad right here. It's right down under there, you've got to just go under here. It's a huge foam pad, it's on the side of the box on the side. Let me see if this does us any favours. It's not good for my computer because I'm about to kill its airflow, but I'll try and muffle the sound just a little more, see if that helps. Still, I still think it's an ambient noise. It's just in the room because there's so much crap running. Alright, well, you guys are going to have to bear with me. I'm going to use Magic Third Hand a time or two again. Purely because you're going to be able to put this down on the ground, or you're going to be able to, just kind of mess around. But I'm really worried about the video shot, so we're going to do that.
Yeah, it's totally still there.
It's totally still there. It's just the room. Sorry about the buzz. We'll try and work on it. We'll see what we can come up with.
I'm trying to make a buzz, but not like that.
Alright, buddy. Magic Third Hand will be at play. It's realistically just going to be to help me hold this bloody thing in place. It's kind of, just on these. Stop it from moving. So if this isn't up in the pan of ice and it's down on the deck, you can get the magic, the helpful hands in play. You can just grip this so it doesn't move, and then you don't have to have extra special third hand to hook you up. I know I'm going to be using all of these pads on the 12 volt, so I'm just pre-tinning all of them. Okay. First guys I'm going to go for will be the LED. We want 12 volts to the LED. Let's keep this clean. I can go on the inside or the outside at this point of this voltage adjuster, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose to go on the outside of it. My heat shrink should fit no problem. If it doesn't, I'll do the classic give it a squeeze or give it a stretch. Really looks like I'm taking the biscuit out of that one. Go on. It's on. Not the best soldering job I could have done, but it's on. It's fiddly. There we go. That's a bit better contact. He sounds sick. I think I have a sick one in the house. Yay, back to school season. Don't you worry, loyal fans. I'll still be doing this if I get the HIV. Nothing shall stop me.
Magic third hand, could you just wipe my nose?
You just put that cream on my sauce. Oh, you're gross. Alright, I'm just playing with ideas here as to how exactly I feel like wiring this one. But I'm just going to go right in here. Right onto the edge. We call that punting the problem down the road. Okay. 2 are done. Thank you, sir. So I've got 12 volts coming back out to the LEDs. Sorted. And now we're going to start working towards, and there you go, this is going to sit real nice, real clean, right there. We're going to work now on the FPV cam. Aren't we? Are we? I feel like we are. We should. Okay. So, FPV cam, the one that's recommended for us, the Sony Super had CCDIR block. So what is the model? CC1333B. It's the PAL. It's 600 TV lines. It wants 12 volts DC in. It's got a 2.8mm lens. Love it. Sony Super had. It's the board cam. So we take all the goodies out. We do need some of it. We don't need other bits. We'll kind of go through that real quick. Alright, you check your box. Here's your programming board, so you're going to want to keep that so that you can make some adjustments. You can change settings on the board using this guy. And it's pretty simple. It plugs in the back, make your changes. You can see it on the OSD. Bob's your uncle. Here's some instructions that come with it. Talk about all those settings, how to change it. Exposure, white balance, black light, day and night, blah blah. Resets.
Did you say Bob's your uncle?
Bob's your uncle. Fanny's your uncle. Yeah? Yeah. Job's done. Bob's your uncle. I need to drink more.
It's a new one to me.
So the camera has got this outside edge of carbon that we don't need. So one of the first things we're going to do is cut that off. And there's been mistakes happen because we had to learn, but what we have learnt from doing this is that you need a bigger pair of pliers than this. And we get a decent pair of pliers because you just don't want to damage your pliers, right? And you don't want the carbon to break the inside board. So my trick of doing this is, first of all, cut the corners off, and then you have the ability for this carbon not to affect the bars next to it. So I'm going to just do this over the trash can, but that's what I'm going for. Cutting all 4 corners. Bit like that. Corners have been chopped. Now what I'm going to aim for is to take very carefully, I'm going to look down the end of this, make sure that I line it up. I really don't want to knacker these little golden squares in any way. So I'm going to line up that there, and then not gently but quickly and firmly just kind of give it a snip, and then roll it over and do the same again. Line it up, give it a snip. Right, there we go. And that's pretty decent. You can always trim it up, you can always make it look prettier or better at the very end, but that's kind of all we're going for. Roll it, twist it, snap it, snip it. Almost buggered that one. Here we go, here we go. One more. Okay, camera's done. We do that so that you can get more tilt angle on the camera and it doesn't interfere with the carbon body. Now, for those of you that are new, you've probably experienced this before. You put your camera in at a funny angle and it's not the right way up. So you're going to want to know which way is up. For this specific camera, this is the bottom, right side, left side, top. So it's quite easy to know that that's what you got to look at. Also, they've got this little doohickey, should be more technical, I believe it's a capacitor, on the side, and here's the bit that's kind of freaky when you're playing with these cameras and our specific board. You got to get this thing out of the way. It doesn't fit between the way that we want it to go, so we're actually going to straighten it very carefully. I'm going to care about these two little wires in here. I don't want to break them, I don't want to bend them. Well, I do want to bend them. I just don't want to disconnect them, and I don't want to break them. So I'm kind of pushing it in at the same time as twisting it, and I just needed to do that. I think that's good enough. I've straightened it so that we can get it through our cam board. That's how we prep that camera out.
Our old buddy Jay Stu here is saying he just started looking into 1.3 gigahertz for flying wing aircraft.
Yeah, man. We have Will Surf Air. He flies a lot of wing, or actually he's probably a bit more FPV on the quads now, but yeah, he rips around 1.3 all the time. I use it on some of the larger video drones. It's really good. The only problem is that your antennas are about this big. So if you want an antenna that big on a drone that's that big, go for it. It can be done. It's more distance to get through a gap. It's more things that could get caught on a tree. 1.3, 2.4, 5.8, whatever you want, it's all good. 5.8, you can put more data down a 5.8 stream than you can a 1.3. 1.3, it's going to go further. It's going to be a bit more resilient, going behind a building, going behind a tree, or maybe a bit of a brow of a hill. So you win some, you lose some. You know, 5.8 behind a building, it's probably going to go black. Whereas a 1.3 is just going to keep rolling for you. And obviously that then makes your base station and your equipment work for your wings as well as your mini quads. So it's a good choice for those kind of instances.
Yeah, it sounds like for a wing, for that long distance type flying.
Yeah, man.
Where you're not worried about that, that smaller profile. It might be the way to go.
So with these board cams, we're going to use this board cam plate. And as you can see, there is a difference. Longer teeth at the top, shorter teeth at the bottom. We do want to keep that oriented the right way around when we put the board cam together. So again, the camera, left side, bottom, right side, top side. So it's easy to just basically do that. That's the way that we're going to kind of get that going. Pull that off for just a second. Here's the other camera. If you have one of the other style cameras, we provide the board for that too. Ends up being a spare if you don't use it. Little baggies. What I need. Here we go. Right, we have another bag of bits. This is all for the FPV cam. We're looking at some real tiny M2 hardware. We've got standoffs, we've got lock nuts, and we've got some screws, and we've got a couple of O-rings. Provide everything you need here to be able to get this done. We'll just kind of boost this stuff out. If you guys don't have one of these yet, highly recommend it. All sorts of different tips on that you're going to need throughout the build.
It's a Harbor Freight special?
No, this was a an event special. They give them out. Harbor Freight, wherever. Everybody's got a set like this for sale. So now that I know the orientation of the camera, I know the orientation of this, I'm going to start just kind of putting it together. We do the slotted screws with the pill shape so that it'll fit most cameras that you want to use. Pretty universal options that we provide there. Drop those through. And then we start doing the standoffs. Standoffs can be a little bit tricky. You know what, actually, I'll do these one at a time because I'm not going to bother trying to hold all of that. Drop one of those in. Now the standoff, theoretically, has got an M2 screw hole in it, so you should be able to just push it on. Well, we're going to screw it in. There's as long as we don't drop it. Come on, you bastards. Sometimes for this, if you don't have enough to grip, because it is a pretty small surface area, you know, just get yourself a pair of pliers, grab that washer, and now have a go for it, or have a go at it, and that's a lot easier. Nice. Next. I'll just get it started with my fingers. A lot more dexterity just to kick it off, and then I grab it. Getting sloppy. Damn. All right. Last one of these to get in. Whatever, I got a bit of extra nylon there. So, alright, so we've got that kind of prepped out. Again, short bottom, long on the top. And next one we're going to do is drop the camera on. Generally you can kind of wiggle those screws around, get them lined up properly. They can be a little bit of a push to go in, but balls. Yeah. I may have done one of those things where I do those things and I go, oh no. Yep, I've done one of those things again. Hang on a second. Let me look at one that I've done a while earlier.
Is it backwards?
Oh yeah! What you're supposed to do is not these four pieces on here. So I'm going to go to my do-over bucket. Do-over bucket. Do-over. Balls, it looks like I've gotten past that section over here. Alright then. Now everybody can go and get a beer while I undo these. It does help to look at my instructions, study pictures, you know, not just try to remember exactly every step whilst you're on the camera. But I had the right idea. It's just that what I actually meant to do was put this screw through the back of the camera first. So that's what I meant to do. That one there. Now that I've
He's asking if we use the Sony 600 TVO.
That's right, yep. Sony 600 TV lines. The Sony Super HAD, H-A-D. 600 TV lines is good enough. 900, we used them for quite a while, and we kind of got sad with those because they break rather easily, and these ones seem to stand up to crashes a lot more, and they're cheaper.
Asherim swung by, random dude, says, "Wow, what's that noise? Sorry, I can't stand it, gotta go."
Oh! It's the horrible hum, right? God damn it. Dude, I really have no idea. I'm looking at the settings and I'm like, nothing's different from last time. No equipment has changed in the room. We just quite simply have some kind of a hum.
Do you think maybe putting that foam over the top part of your tower would be the same? I know it's not good for ventilation.
I mean, it might. I'll give it a try.
That's the loudest source of kind of a hum to your tower.
Let's try to block the sound a little. Is there any other ambient noise that I'm just not picking up on because I'm used to it?
I mean, my computer's running too.
I'm going to turn that one off, just in case that light has got anything to do with it. I wonder if that's gotten any better or worse. I probably just made it worse.
It could be this, yeah?
You've had that there before though, haven't you?
Yeah, that's true.
How bad is it? Let me go and listen to it. Be right back. Let me borrow that. Let me hear it.
It's definitely humming. Gotta figure this hum out one way or another. I think we're thinking we might just move the microphone to a different spot. It's kind of next to some hardware right now.
Okay, so the other thought I've had is that I've seen audio studios before do something with foam where they like wrap a microphone in it. I don't know if this is going to cut me off, so I guess I need you all to let me know if this is going to make the audio way worse. But I'm just going to try and wrap the microphone in this guy and see if it helps.
Maybe even try and do like a conical shape.
Like this.
Yeah, it's kind of wrap.
Otherwise I'm going to have to relocate the microphone for next series we try to do, because to be honest everybody, sorry about this, but I've got quite the network engineering modules right up above this microphone, and that's pretty much what I think is happening. Alright, I'm done screwing with the microphone. Sorry about that noise. Any better, Dave?
me.
Really?
Yeah.
Alright, I guess everybody who's been patient and putting up with that bollocks for a little while, let us know if you think it's better.
Nope, it's not better.
No, still crap. Damn it! Alright, well, apologies about that. Put up with it for us, peeps. I will relocate that microphone for the next episode. I'll stick it somewhere completely different. Either that or I'll stop moving all the rest of this bollocks, but that's really difficult. It would be best to have the microphone somewhere else. So if I turn off what's making the hum, then the stream goes off. No firewall, no router, no switching, no worky. Alright, we're almost done. One more left. Something felt wrong when I was putting it together. I was like, this feels new. I finally get there and I'm like, oh no. Classic. My brain's full. See, now obviously I've gone through these standoffs once, it's a lot easier, I can use my fingers. So there we go, we've got the standoffs and the screws going that way through the camera. That one's a little loose, so I'm just going to go back and tighten this guy up. Good to test those. Give him a bit of a wiggle. Cool. So that's that part done. Again, I'm going to orient the camera, make sure that I know this way's up, this is on this side, that's the way I want this to go through here. So now I'm going to push this through. Obviously I've got to care about that little white capacitor. I don't want to knacker that. And then all four of those go through. So we've got the screw heads are pushed in. There we go. You can see all those poking through there. Good. Now we're going to get the little nylon lock nuts. These are M2 lock nuts. We're just going to get these guys and zip those up. Of course it's got to be purple. Only the finest. There we go, and we're done. Alright, FPV camera and plate are mounted. That's what you're looking for. It's got that little bit of a gap. Sorts it out. Ready.
Blaze Harmon says, this dude's making a bomb on Twitch.
I'm making something that could carry something like that, for sure, but I'm going to stretch these O-rings.
That would definitely be against the FAA regulations.
Damn, wouldn't it? Ugh, that would be awful. So I'm going to put these O-rings up and around the top two teeth on the top side, not the bottom. That's going to help with vibration. It's going to help with this staying in place when we put it through the carbon fibre top plate. So that's done. Now we need a couple of wires. We have got to have 3 wires that go out the back of the camera. Yellow is video signal, and then red and black positive negative. This pinhead is keyed so that you can only really put it in one way. It's the only 3-pin header that you've got, and it goes in that side and it goes in that way. Now I don't need it in at the moment, so I'm going to put it right back out. I just wanted to show you guys that part. I'm going to put that aside for a second. I'm going to put the lens cap back on, keep my lens nice and clean. You'll lose that within about a day of flying, so don't worry too much about it. This wire, don't need it. Again, just stash it, keep it. Coming out of that same camera thing, don't need this, stash it, keep it. Put it in the use that later bucket. So, at this point, we're really interested in working 2 things together. We want to make a video 2. Okay, there we go. We want to make the 12 volt power. Let me bring this back into play a bit better. We want to make the 12 volt power the video camera for the FPV, and we also need it to power the video transmitter. So let me open this guy up real quick. We'll get this out because we've got to do a little bit of creative wiring to make this work. I'm going to 70 mile an hour bomb. I wonder if you say the
bomb.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if you say the word bomb on the Twitch stream, whether or not the NSA goes, "Oh, quick, have a look." Alright, so we got this guy, we got the Fly Sight TX5802. We're super stoked with these. They work exceptionally well. 32 channels, so you got a lot of options. That means you can fly with your mates in a close band next to yourself. So definitely try to get the 32 channels. They're very accurate channels as well. We're impressed with the button layout. You can change the channel by a button rather than dip switches, and you've got the channel indicator on the side. So all good things coming out of Fly Sight. Super good video. You got a diagram on the back for which way all of the video and the power, and then the power in, the power out. You got the diagram, so don't chuck your box away. Keep that. There's what you. Yeah, there's your video transmitter, chilling right there. He's going to end up sitting on the top, so we're going to worry about that when we come to figure out the wiring. Again, got some more wiring diagrams here, some more channel instructions. Don't throw this away. Take a picture of it and store it in your phone so that you can always get to it later, because you're going to get out to the field and you'll be flying and you're going to want to know all this information about the frequency table. So take a picture, don't lose that. Tons of cables that you just don't need, but a few that you do. There's a video antenna, commonly known as a ducky, a dipole. These are shit, don't use those. Loads of wires you don't need now, so I'm just going to kind of pick out the one I do want, and that is going to be this guy. I want that one. So it's kind of cool. Look at all these extra wires that I can use to help me build my drone should I need them, like I had to when I had to redo that one section. They have provided loads for me, so I'm not too worried about you guys running out of wire. You've always got some, and this is, you know, optional wire for different setups on different rigs depending on what you want to do. How cool of the supplier, they send you a bunch of free stuff. Yay, put it in your to keep box. Alright, then we go back to this one. Got a lot of wires here. We don't need all of them, and we certainly don't need them all as long as they are. Hang on a minute, I may have been full of crap. Back to those wires I said we didn't need, that we put in our to keep box. I do need a couple of them. What I need is a power wire. The power wire I'm going to choose looks a bit like this, and I just don't want to have to cut a load of bollocks off the other end, so I'm just trying to choose one where I'm not cutting a load of wires, but they kind of all require me to cut some wires, so I'm not going to care about that. I need this black connector right there, and I don't need too much of the extra wire, but for now, before I measure it, I'm going to take enough. I know that's more than I need. I'm going to put the rest of this yellow and black back in the to keep box, and I'm worried about this section right here. Okay, got a lot of wires, don't worry about it. You got a diagram, tells you everything you need to know. Now you've got inputs and outputs on this. It's kind of a cool feature. If you wanted to take power out of this something else, let's say, I don't know, race day LED IR blaster, then you can take the power from this. So that's pretty cool, but you really don't need it. What we're looking at right now is the video input. We don't need audio, we don't need power, we don't need the NC. We need power in and we need video in. So there's only 3 wires. So yellow is again the wire I'm interested in. And then I want these 2 on the side. So those 2 on the side are these. That's the relationship that we've got going on. That's what I'm looking for. And that's how it's going to go into the video transmitter. So any wires that you don't need to save weight, we're going to pop them out, same as we did last time. I'm going to use a scalpel. I'm going to put the tip of the scalpel down underneath the tooth that prevents this from sliding out, and I've just pulled that out. Nice and easy. I'm going to do it to the green, I'm going to do it to the white, slide the tip underneath, give it a pull, out it comes. Yeah, sometimes it gets stuck in the back too and you got to do it again, so whatever. That wire's out, that wire's out. Definitely keeping the yellow, that's my video. The next 2 can be gone as well. Now, I'm actually kind of changing the way I prefer to fly. I like to hear my propellers when I'm flying, so I'm kind of messing around with the audio, and I'm going to start keeping the audio channel on some of these. But see, because I didn't damage anything on the way out, I can always come back and put my audio cable right back in the proper hole whenever I want to put a microphone on the drone. Just how you're going to transmit video off the drone back to your eyes, you can transmit over the same frequency some audio. So when the drone's really far away from yourself and you're flying along, not only do you have your visual feedback, but you have the audible feedback, and to be perfectly honest, it makes you a better pilot. So you just, the more feedback that the brain can receive, the better off you're going to be able to handle what needs to be done. So I want to keep those wires that I just took off. I want to kind of keep them together, so I'm just going to kind of tie them like that, chuck them in my keep bucket. I can always come back. So now I'm back to this again. I've really only got this and this that we need to be able to worry about wiring. Now where's this leading to? We've got to get power in a creative manner from these 2 pads, positive and negative, all the way up to these 4 wires. So creatively, we're going to start twisting stuff together, and then we've got to get yellow to yellow. That one's simple enough. Yellow comes out the back of the camera, yellow goes in the back of the video receiver, video transmitter. I'm an idiot. We'll mess around with the yellow afterwards. We want a little bit of play so that we can play with our video. We don't want to have a whole lot of wire hanging out the side so that it hits stuff. So I'm just going to put this guy to one side for now. We'll come back to that. What we're going to work upon is this. Dave, do you want to do your fancy moment? I'm going to give this to Magic Third Hand because he comes up with something pretty creative. And again, it's kind of like how you want to twist your wires together. Dave does a pretty cool little braid on that.
Going up to here-ish?
Yeah, not too far, probably a little less, but maybe just about there will probably do. Alright. What we've got to anticipate here, I think we can take another step in this direction. Because while Dave's doing that, we are going to get our ESC motor wires dealt with, and we're going to plug these in to the nays. Need to get that figured out. I can really use a reference nays. Pretty special. Can't remember this from one day to the next, ladies and gentlemen. But now that I've cheated, I can remember. Pin 1 or ESC1 is over here, and then it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we've only got 4 motors, so we're only going to use the first 4. Now, this is why we scratch those numbers into the tops of these guys. I've got 1 and 3. Hopefully you can probably see that if I catch the light right. Yep, you can see the scratch marks. 1 on the left, 3 on the right. And we've got ground, black, and signal, white. So on the nays, the very inside pin is going to be the signal, the very outside pin is going to be the ground. So these are going to go onto the nays in this manner. I'm going to turn it like that, and I'm going to shove it on. And that is pin 1. That's motor 1, pin 1. As long as I haven't cocked that up. Yep, this is 3. I'm going to pull these 2 back in here as well. Now these are obviously going to get kind of zip tied up out here and pulled away kind of tidy, but I like to be able to disconnect them to be able to do different stuff, because we're going to have to program these ESCs. Ew. Maybe I don't do this yet, because I'm only going to end up taking it apart to do the ESC programming. Okay, change my mind. We'll come back and do that, because we want to get the ESCs flashed with firmware, the latest BL Heli. So before I go ahead and put all the tops on and do everything else like that, we're going to leave these hanging, and we're going to go through that probably at next week's session. Yeah, it's going to be next week's session. We're just going to carry on with a little bit of the wiring and see if we can't get this 12-volt powertrain done. There's Dave's pretty little braid. Isn't that cute? He must have had a sister.
I did.
He did have a sister. I didn't have a sister, that's why Dave does the braiding. Alright. What I do want to reference is this though. I want to reference this plate. And I want to reference to you guys that the video transmitter is going to sit on the top, pretty much like that. So it's just kind of understanding where our wiring goes and what we're looking at as far as length. We don't want too much length. We don't want it waving around, but we do want to have the ability, let's say on race day, to be able to change out our video transmitter for something that the race organisers provide or something else like that. So this kind of a loop that I'm creating right now is really what I generally try to go for. These power leads have got to go all the way to the front, but at the same time, if that's plugged in, I can take that out to the side and I can put that back in there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Around about that much wires length. I'm going to chop those off right there. I'm going to untwist them just a little. We'll strip. And I'm going to strip these a little bit long. Ah, balls, I just chopped it instead of stripping it. That doesn't matter, because we've always got some extra to play with. Now they're the same size again.
Improvising.
Improvise, improvise. These thinner wires can be a bit of a pain when it comes to the stripping versus cutting. There we go, I got that off. It's not very often I do that, but it does happen. Come on. Alright, got it. Ow! It got me. Okay. Those guys are prepped, and these guys might be a bit too long. So I'm going to pretend my camera goes in here, and I'm going to run this wire pretend from there. And again, what I'm going to look to do is run this down the side, and then my wires are coming in, again, as I said earlier, from the back of this up to the front. So I'm not really going to change anything. I like the length of those. That's good. But I am going to get the yellow one out of the way because I'm not messing with that right now. So I'm just going to kind of pinch that down. Alright, here's the nifty bit. It's nifty. I've only got 2 pads left, but I've got 2 wires. So I'm going to twist them together, and we're going to make 2 wires, 1 wire. So that when they get onto the pad, they're not going to come apart. that should make a nice and easy solder. What you can do if you like is get a bit of heat shrink and put heat shrink on it to help hold these together. That can be very useful. I've been for sure known to do that. Actually, I think I am going to do that because I really like that trick. When it comes to the soldering moment, it can be one of those tricky little gits that you know, you're almost on and then one of the wires just goes bleep and it really does your head in, so we're going to pull that off.
What is a git?
A git. A git? Are you Googling a git?
Mm-hmm.
You are having to Google the
An
git.
unpleasant or contemptible person.
There you go, a git. Such a git. Just twisting the black ones together now. Alright, that's a bit much. Really don't need that much, so I'm going to cut that in half. If I actually cut it. Tell you what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to dive into my own stash of different sizes. So I really want a thin one. If I could find it. There it is. I just, you know, I have a stash of tiny little pieces of heat shrink that I've never thrown away when I do jobs like this. You'll all end up with one as long as you don't throw your shit away too. Don't throw your shit away. Definitely keep it. There's a really thin piece. I'm going to try and make that work. Obviously the thinner the heat shrink, the better the grip you'll get for these tiny wires. This might actually be too small. It might not work. Yay! Worked. So I'm going to pull the heat shrink all the way up to the end where the wires almost join. And then we'll shrink it on. And now with the twist and the heat shrink, those ain't going anywhere when I come to solder them on. If they do, well, the stream will just go dead or something, I don't know. We'll just cut it off. Alright, so it's kind of a wiring harness we've created. Camera power, VTX power. Now without too much concern, I'm just going to start getting these guys soldered down onto the 12 volt out of my voltage regulator. Can I borrow a magic third hand? Ooh, sir. Just hold that guy and just keep that board steady for me. Need my stability source. Right, pre-tin. Nope. Got some dirt on the end of it, so you don't want that. Keep your soldering jobs clean. Okay, here we go. We're going to go positive to positive output. Boom. And let's get the ground one in. A little more tricky because there's a little less space now. Like I said, I punted that problem down the road. Kinda couldn't see what I was doing there for that distance. And my eyes are crossed. So it's better to double check yourself and make sure that you get a good solder job. I'm kind of happy with that. I think I'm alright there. It's not too bad. It got it. Alright, so now the wiring harness is good. And as you can see, I'm going to undo this guy from the clamp now. Okay, so side angle, pretty good. You can see that we've got these two voltage regulators. We've got all the wires coming out this inside angle, and we're looking pretty good there. So at this point, when you're doing your build, I would recommend you breaking out your voltage tester, and you plug a battery in and start touching some of these pins, making sure it looks good. Make sure these ones look good. You can make sure you get your 12 volts out, and you can get your 5 volts out of here. You've got some metal that you can touch on the bottom side there. You've got a tiny bit you can touch here. More, I would say, that you can get there, but obviously, if one's good, they're both good. The LED should power up. I don't think I've got any shorts at this point. Where's my... Oh, here it is. Dave, could you help me find some batteries that are charged right now? It's pretty bad of me, but I think they're in there. Alright, here we go. I think I've got a charged up battery right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and test this. I've got to test that. Right there, so we're going to just make sure that we've got the right kind of voltage. Alright, 4.18, as you can see, we've got some good volts going on here. So we're going to plug this battery in. We're going to make sure that everything's looking good on the voltmeter. And we should get some LEDs fire up. Shouldn't be any shorts. Good to double check, make sure that you've got no bare wires touching. This guy is floating off the bottom, so I don't want him touching the carbon at this moment. And I'm just going to power it up, and yay! No smoke, no problems. But also, I've got no LED on the bottom, so I definitely have a bit of a problem that I need to work through and figure out what's going on. Buzzer works, so we've got 5 volts back to the naze board. That's looking good. But Mr. 12 volt doesn't seem to be too happy about his position. Which is weird, because when I just touch those, I've got 12 volts. So, something's not happy about my 12 volt coming out from my LED. So it could be my LED. It could have a bad one. That'd be a first, but anything's possible. And that's kind of why you need the voltage meter, because if you get to a stage like this and you're like, man, what's going on? It's really nice to be able to confirm and go, oh, well, I know that this is okay and I know that it's doing its job. So let's just check the 5 volts as well coming out here. Ooh, you got mad. Okay, so 5 volts should be coming out. Yep, 5 volts, 5.03 coming out of the naze board heading back to the receiver. So again, that should be good. Pretty strange that my LED has decided not to light itself at this point. Right? So for stuff like that, it's going to happen. I'm going to end up taking apart these two. Actually, I'm going to come right off of the wires first. Just one step at a time. I'm going to prove that we've got what we need. I guess I can bring this into the shot too. Show everybody the voltage. So when I go on here, okay, not the best angle, but good enough. I'm going to go on the negative and the positive. And I've got 12 volts. Yep, there you go, you can see 12 volts. So I know I've got 12 volts coming back out, and it's heading underneath the board, and it's going down towards the LED. So my only thing that I'm thinking now is maybe my JST connector is just not plugged in all the way. I'm not getting a good connection. Because that's weird. Because everything else is doing exactly what it should be doing. I've got 12 volts coming back to the camera, 12 volts heading to the LED, 5 volts on the nays. Yeah, I don't really get it. You can check the nays. Let me just show you that one. I'm going to touch the top pin and the center pin on the nays board, 503 volts. As you can see, there you go. 503. So that's good. Boo, Dave, boo. Now this first thing I can try and do is just kind of push these together, see if I get any love. I've obviously got a lot of purple zip ties, so I'm going to be ruthless and just chop them off. I'll put those back on in a second. But for now, I just want to know what's going on, and I want to show you guys, I guess, just a little bit of BS troubleshooting. Alright, those are gone. Let's have a look here, see what's going on. Now again, I'm just going to take it apart one step at a time. I removed the JST LED connection. I'm going to use my voltage tester again, and I'm going to go into the wires and make sure that that right there, as you can see, says, ooh, that says minus 12 volts. Ah, that's because I'm a bit of a knob jockey and I put those around the wrong way. Red to red, black to black. Yay, positive 12 volts. So I've definitely got 12 volts to there. I'm going to have to assume I've got a dodgy LED. Dodgy? Let me get a brand new one. You might have to go around the other side, and it's on the shelf behind the white box. Next to the printer, halfway up. Printer. Cool. Let's have one of them. So who knows, I might have done something strange to the LED whilst I was doing my previous work. Anything's possible. I'm going to just make sure I'm not crossing my wires here, because the JST connector is keyed. I want to make sure that I'm going red to red and black to black. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, there is the issue. I'm forcing a wrong current down the JST. Now here's how I'm going to try to help illustrate this. I'm going to line up the JST. It's keyed here, it's keyed there. That would be the correct way to plug it in. Now, as you can all see, if I move my fingers, if that's the correct way to plug it in, I've crossed the wires. Red to black, black to red. Okay, so before I go any further, I'm going to disconnect the power. We don't need any of that. This one's a nice easy fix. All I have to do, because these wires can be changed at the drop of a hat, again, trusty little scalpel, I'm going to just take these wires out and I'm going to put them in the other holes. And then, Bob's your uncle.
And Sally is your aunt.
No, Fanny's your aunt.
Fanny is your aunt.
Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Come on, get it right. Okay, that one's out. And then this guy's out. And then this one, without turning it, is going to go right back in. It's kind of important that you know which way round these go, because they have that tooth, that key. Boy, that's going to be really tough to see, but there is a tiny piece of metal on this top edge up here that sticks up. That's the tooth that stops it falling back out. Yes, I say tooth.
Tooth.
Tooth. It's the tooth. Alright, so let's prove my quality theory correct. We line those two up. They only go in one way, so that's very important. That goes in there. And before I'm going to zip tie it back down, I want to know that it glows. And hey, look at that. The LED glows. Sweet. That's the problem. Not really much to it. So it's simple troubleshooting. When it comes to that, make sure you just kind of trace it through and make sure you've got one of these. That would have been a real pain to figure out without one of these. It would have been slower to figure out, let's say. Back in the bag, got a few more zip ties. Everybody gets an array of zip ties, so even if this happens to you, you've still got enough in the bag to be able to get this job done. And again, we're doing these wires down the bottom in this manner to take any crash pressures and stress off of the solder joints on that main PDB. Keep your drone real nice and secure and in good shape, whilst the zip ties take the kicking for you. That means we have to do it every joystick.
Yay!
So that should not be a part of your build when you get your kit. Those will be fixed. And we shall formally lodge a complaint with our Chinese suppliers, who may or may not listen.
Oh, they'll listen.
Will they care? Will they? Like, oh, why is there no standards? And my zip tie just decided to be crap. That's fun.
J2's asking if we fly with OSD.
Yeah, good question there, mate. I have flown with OSD before, and I've quit doing it because if you're flying low and hard and fast, you don't have time to look at that. So that's why what we're doing instead is we're flying with telemetry for the battery voltage. Because let's be honest, what do you need to know? You need to know how much battery you've got left. So when the telemetry is coming from the naze and it's reading it and it's firing it off back through this, through your D4R2, back to your Tyrannus, through your headphones, into your ear, now you've got everything that you need for the same thing that an OSD would provide, and now you've got less weight on the drone, less components to go wrong. And I've seen loads of OSDs that, you know, they're a pain to wire, they fill your screen with a load of bollocks. There is going to be a point, I think, when I come back to the OSDs, but for the hardcore racing, all you need to know is how much juice you have left, and this method handles it. And now you're not taking your eyes off of what you're doing, it's purely an audible. And I had loads of OSDs kind of go bad on me or give me false readings, and to be honest, most of them were pretty shit. There's some good ones out there in the market, but man, it's all about grams, it's all about weight, so we don't want it. We don't want the weight on the drone, so we cut it off. Good question though.
And he's saying he likes the idea of having an artificial horizon. I'm assuming that's a more advanced type that kind of gives you like the wings and stuff.
Yeah, kind of like how the F-16 pilots do it in the Air Force. They've got that heads-up display and they've got that horizon. Super good for wings, super good when you've got no point of reference. Well, you fly down low and dirty, yet again, you've got all the points of reference that you need. And if you've got time to look at your artificial horizon, you ain't flying hard enough. So, fly harder, go faster, and then all of a sudden you're just going to be like, man, that thing's in my way. You're just going to want to turn it off.
The lines.
Get the lines out of my face. I flew with a minimal OSD for a while, and it gave me voltage and it gave me time, and it was cool. I thought it was awesome. I liked it. I mean, there was a lot of information I was able to look at and get. And that was while I was kind of like a pretty shitty flyer, and I was flying up high and flying slow, and then as soon as I started going down low and I'm like ripping it around a course, dude, you don't have time. You don't even have a split second to look at that. So it's all about the audibles. You want somebody yelling at you in your ears, and it could just be a timer on the drone. If the radio just goes buzz, buzz and buzzes, or if it beeps at you, whatever it is, you just need an audible. However, somebody has come out very recently with a really cool OSD, which is lap timing and, you know, that kind of stuff. Now, I might have to be honest, I'm probably going to be looking at getting the next level of PDB designed so that we integrate the PDB, the 5 volt, the 12 volt, the OSD and the lap timer. I want it all on this board. So we're currently in development, we're working on that. That's happening right now with some of our suppliers, so it's coming. We're going back to the OSD model, but I tell you, mate, since I've stopped using it, I don't miss it at all. But you've got to have an audible. You've got to have some kind of feedback. Otherwise, you're right. You're missing out on a chunk of information you really need. All right. I think at this point, I'm going to stop. I'm going to call it a night. We've gotten pretty far. We'll come back. We'll finish off a tiny bit of the wiring. We'll clean this up just a little bit. We'll make sure that things work. We'll kind of do a bit of a bench test before we start really bolting the top on. We've definitely got to do the BL heli on the ESCs. So that would just be a pain if I put it all together and then went, oh, I got to get to these things again. We're going to, show everybody how to flash it with the BL heli suite, and then hopefully we're going to get to the point where we use some beta flight, and then we actually push the new versions of ESC and the new changes of ESC code through the flight controller. It's one of the most latest releases and some of the latest firmware versions. I'm looking forward to messing with that myself. So there's some pretty good stuff. I'll learn all about it before I try to pass the information on, so we're just going to keep it nice and basic and simple right now. We're just going to do the ESCs through the regular BL heli and the USB flasher through these ports. We'll start working on the nays, we'll get everything tested, we'll test the FPV, we'll fire up the goggles, the ground station. We've got a lot of ground station discussion to go through, talking about how all that works. And then finally just bolt the top on and she's almost ready to fly.
Make sure you guys give us a follow on the Twitch channel. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We'll be here on Thursday, 8 p.m. Mountain. Staying around until around 10 p.m. Mountain. If you guys are interested, man, pick yourself up a kit now. And the next build that we do, you can build along with us. So, we're going to be doing a lot of kind of help and, get on the train. Let's do this.
Definitely. Here to help. It was a great video series. We're highlighting it all down to the build logs. So, kind of keep it short and simple, easy to follow along. Thanks for hanging out. See you Thursday.